Hey, I'm Caleb with YouCanMakeThisToo, and today I'm going to do my best to not get paint all over my camera and recording gear. This is a really bad idea.
The first part of any painting project is setting up video lights. Well, okay, probably not for you, but seriously, extra light is always good if you have them. But what you will want to do is clear out any furniture. We're going to be rearranging some rooms, so we went ahead and just emptied it. But lots of times I've simply pushed all the furniture into the middle of the room and covered it with drop cloths. That works pretty well. And pro tip, if you tell your kids it's a game, you might be able to get them away from Saturday morning cartoons to help. But depending on their age, that actually might make things take longer. And of course, anything mounted to the walls needs to come off the walls. That's a free tip. I won't even apply it to the count. First tip though is painting, like any finishing, is all about the surface prep. Any loose paint needs to come off because otherwise what you paint over it will flake off later. This might require scraping, but on latex I found it's easy to just rub it out until everything that's loose comes off. That way I don't have to worry about potentially gouging or scratching with the scraper.
It's easy to see from the color that we only went through the paint here, so I could just apply, one coat of paint or primer to kind of flesh this up before I do the rest. But here where it's brown, we've torn to the paint like there and there and quite a few other places. So I'm going to use some drywall compound to seal the paper to make sure moisture can't penetrate through there before we put any more paint on. And since I have the compound out anyways, I'm going to go ahead and use that on the spaces that just need priming. Now where there are small holes from screws and hangers and nails, I normally like to use spackle because it dries pretty quick. But since I need to use the compound anyways, I'll just put some compound in there. Fortunately, if you just have some repair work, you can get small tubs of joint compound, drywall compound. You don't have to buy the 4.5 gallon buckets or the powder and mix it. But if you're gonna hurry and you need to do some repair, you can get the 20 and 45 minute, which cures really quick powder, and then mix it up and keep chugging along. I was joking about the light thing earlier, but whenever you're looking for defects, so raking light running down the length of your wall creates shadows on any depressions and makes it really easy to spot anything you want to feel. And the drywall compounds are great for if you just have like little dings and dents, just to level that off. It's going to look a lot better when you're done. Now I'm going to do some more prep work while I wait for this to dry, like taking off all the plates. The one thing I will tape off are my electrical fixtures, because if I get paint on anything, what I'm going to do is keep a wet rag in my pocket and just wipe it off with a wet rag, but I don't want to wipe these or my outlets with a wet rag, so I will tape them. I've got this big dust mop thing and I like to use it to get all the dust off from sanding, as well as just dust the walls before I paint so those particles don't end up in the next layer, because you'd be surprised how much dust walls can pick up. Fortunately, this room is still caulked well. There's no cracks between the trim and the wall on the baseboard crown or this chair rail, but if there is, you just get some painter's caulk and recaulk this. Not a big deal. Got a drop cloth down and taped, pretty self-explanatory. One trick is only tape 3 sides at most, and I do have some slack from side to side built into it. Always leave at least one side undone, because as you walk, this does want to pull and move, and that gives it somewhere to pull from. Otherwise, it might pull away from the wall and make a gap. Despite my best efforts, there's probably a gap somewhere, and I'm going to find those when I spill paint, because that's where it'll happen every time. I hate painting, so I've tried all the gimmicky stuff out there that's supposed to make it easier. The little cut-in trim tools that's supposed to make getting around your trim work easier. I haven't had any luck with those, but there are a few things I found I really like. Since those don't work, I just cut in with a brush. I like a 2.5 inch slanted brush. I like Purdy. I've had good luck. I've used this a ton and haven't cleaned it as well as I should. Paint keys and stir sticks, I normally give this to you when you get them, but this doesn't damage the lid when you use a paint key versus a screwdriver. For cutting in, I really like these handy pels, and I'm a liner kind of guy because then you don't have to clean it out. Once I discovered you get these liners, I stopped pouring paint right in here. Same thing for paint trays, use liners, and try to buy the liners that actually fit your tray. and the pour spouts. These are actually super handy. I really like these. I used to do the poke a hole in the rim with a nail, so any paint that gets in the rim drips back through. But then I also don't like overfilling my buckets, because then you have a bunch of paint and more likely to spill. But every time you pour, you've got to wipe, and it's just a mess. With this spout, once you put it on, you just flip the spout, open the vent, and then it makes refilling easy. So I'll put less paint in my buckets and refill more often, because this makes it super easy. And an extending pole is super handy if you have tall ceilings. A short one's fine if you've got normal ceilings, or if you're a normal sized person, probably be okay without a pole, but I'm not. Anyway, time to start painting. And here's my cutting end technique. You never want to go right into the joint and hope you nail it. Start a little farther off, and you want to kind of angle in, and then once you hit the right spot, you just go straight. And then if I have a little bit of pulling, I'll just hit it again. And you don't want too much paint on your brush when you do this, or you're going to end up with a giant line of paint. Of course, there's also a cheater's way to cut in. This is a edge guide, and there's a slight bow to it. So I want the bow in the middle to be up, so when I push, I can push it down. And this really only works if your walls are pretty flat. If your walls are wavy, you'll have gaps. But it works exactly how you'd expect. It just provides you an edge to reference, and you can just paint right against it without having to worry about being too careful, because it's basically a fence. And so long as your walls are flat and you have room for this, it works pretty well. Before I get too much farther with cutting in though, I'm going to hit these spots that I had to repair. This is basically just priming it. And if I do it now, by the time I'm done cutting in, they should be ready to recoat for when I roll. So. Two hours later, I'm finally done cutting in, so getting ready to start rolling. I've got to say I'm really impressed with this paint, this Bear Ultra. Going from a darker to a lighter, I would normally prime. I've never really trusted the paint primer combos before, but I figured I'd go ahead and give it a shot. So as you can see, I didn't prime, and it's been covering really, really well. Like 2 coats will definitely get this, and 1 would, probably be good enough if you were had low standards, but 2 coats are definitely going to be great. I might not have to cut in again on the second coat because I went a little heavy on the cutting, because I hate cutting, it takes forever. We'll see. But yeah, and this is not part of the sponsorship, the ladder I've been using, which is awesome. That's the only part that's sponsored. Bought this with my own money. It's just my recommendation on some good paint. One mistake is not fully loading your roller before you get started, and make sure that thing is soaked but not dripping. And I ended up cutting in this corner with my paintbrush, as you can see, and because I figured it mushing with this, I was going to end up getting some on the other side, but with the brush I was able to keep it clean. Now, without the handle on, I rolled the bottom section because I was on my knees doing it anyways. But now that I'm moving up to the top and putting the handle on, normally if there's not a chair roll, I'll do the whole thing with the handle, because even if I don't need it to reach, I like not having to bend down into the pan. So with the handle, I just keep more distance, and then I can get into the pan, without having to bend over. And I'm a fan of the W technique. So you wipe on a W and then smooth it out, then reload and go again. And again, if I notice it starts to get dry, which you can tell when it starts pooling paint and it starts to even sand a little bit different, then a stop and reload it, get it wet again. Probably just a good mantra for life. I don't want to try to paint wet, fresh paint over partially dry paint, so it's good to have some type of order that you're going in. That way you're, you know, wet paint's going on more wet paint, not tacky paint. Because trying to putting this roller against tacky paint, what's going to happen is it'll start pulling the paint back off the wall, which is not a fun experience. Don't ask me how I know. And to keep my roller fresh, while I wait for this to dry, 2 hours to do the next coat, I'll just wrap it in cling wrap, and then it won't dry out. Alrighty, it's been a few hours, so I'm going to pour the rest of this gallon in here. Definitely going to have to get into my second gallon, unroll my roller, and get back to it. There you have it. Paint's dry and it looks good. Cleanup was super easy. All I had to do is throw away the roller and the liners from my two pans, wash off the roller handle and the brush. That was pretty much it. Then all this stuff will just get thrown in the trash, put the plates back on, move furniture back in. So do that off camera real quick. I normally pride myself on compositions, but it is so hard to get a good shot of this funky kind of space because of the entrance. But anyway, it took me about 8 hours to get this all done, including the filming and getting everything removed and then painted. That time doesn't include getting things like set up and moved back in and have some final decor work, which that ladder is going to be super helpful for, especially when I've got to pull some artwork from other places of the house, because you can see with these pivot points, this actually swings fully vertical into like an extension ladder, so you can get really high. I've got 14-foot ceilings, and this has been great for changing light bulbs and some of my can lights and whatnot. But more on the time breakdown, took about 2 hours to, get the room cleared out, which that'll depend just on your room and how much stuff is in there. And then the painting took about 6 hours with all the trimming in, which I had a lot of trimming in to do because of the chair rail and crown mold, and also window and a door, and then this funky entranceway. The top bit, I had to paint all that by hand because I didn't trust myself trying to roll it. And so that was 6 hours, including dry time of the paint, because it's got to dry some between recoats. Did it all with just 2 coats of paint, no priming, using the Barra Ultra from Home Depot. And I went from a darker color to a lighter color and still got away with 2 coats and no priming. So pretty impressed by that. Again, no sponsorship on the paint. That's just the paint I got. Only sponsorships tied to showing off this ladder, which I enjoyed using. Anyway, and if you like my furniture, I have videos on the coffee table and couch and plans on that couch actually. But anyway, until next time, make time to make something.
Here, can you take this in there?
I'm gonna bounce it.
Okay.
I like that toy room.
And so with that, you can also see I'm only going up about so high, just kind of painting in a grid. And I'm not necessarily looking for